Hey, Rest Rebels. This is your friend, Nicole Havelka. Welcome to After the Mic. This is the bonus podcast for the Rest Rebel Collective, aka supporters of the Just Rest podcast and Substack newsletter. Thank you so much. I always like to start with gratitude because I don't know, I've been leaning into it even more these days. And I want to thank you, all of you, for supporting the Just Rest podcast. This quite literally would not be here this very day without you. So thank you. And I am so grateful that you're part of the Rest Rebel Collective because you know that this is more than a podcast and a newsletter. It's a movement. It's a movement for collective liberation through rest. And so the Rest Rebels that I want to thank in particular by name, I'm getting very close to being through the list. And then I'll start back over. Or the three that I would like to lift up today are John Fry, Ellis Arnold, and Melanie Miller. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your help with that. Um, so Today I'm reflecting on episode 8, which I did with Becky Mollenkamp, and we talked about liberating your business. And I will just say, I know I have a lot of nonprofit leaders and pastors in my list and other folks like that who might not think of themselves as business owners. But let me tell you, these basic ideas apply to anything that you're trying to build that has sort of structure and organization. So I hope you filter through that business language to a certain degree and translate that into whatever setting that you would use that in. And I think that the basic feeling that that has really struck me from my conversation with Becky is probably nearly universal. So let's talk about something that she said in our conversation that I really haven't stopped thinking about. Burnout isn't always about overwork. Burnout isn't always about overwork. So sometimes it's about feeling like just another. So burnout isn't always about overwork. So what can happen is that it may feel to you in your body, if you're approaching burnout, that you feel like you're just a productivity tool at the place where you're working. You might be giving your all and then you get laid off anyway. You might be asked to be creative on a prescribed schedule, like creativity is something you turn it on and off like a light switch. Or that, you might have that sneaking suspicion that no matter how much you bring how much you're bringing, how much you're working, how much you're doing, that you're just another cog in the wheel. And so many of us leave. We find a better job. Maybe we do find a better boss, a place with a better mission that we feel aligned with, or you strike out on your own and you finally do things your own way. And I've certainly noticed this. The voices of those places come with you. Do more, grow more, prove yourself more. You're not enough. You're falling behind. Those voices. I deal with them every single day. I dealt with them as I was getting ready to record this for you today. And here's what I really want you to sit with. That voice in your head, it sounds a lot like the worst boss you ever had. The micromanager or the one who constantly changed the goals or the projects on you under your feet, the one who made you feel like no matter what you did, it wasn't enough. See, you left that boss maybe, but did you notice that you brought them with you? Yeah, most of us did. I know I did, and I still hear those voices in my head even 5, 6 years later after starting my business. But here's the thing. It may seem like it's voices in your own head, but it's not. And I hear it from so many of you that that relentless inner critic that has absorbed every extracted, overworked system that we've ever been part of and decided that just how things are, and so most of us did. I know I did. And I hear from so many of you too that relentless inner critic has been absorbed. It's like it's absorbed in your body and it's extracted, overworked system that we've ever been part of becomes almost like it's part of our tissue and our fiber. And it's decided that it's just how things are supposed to feel, that it's the norm, that the discomfort is simply the price of doing good work, that rest is something that you earn, not something that you deserve. This came up in a conversation I had with a client just this past week when we were talking about a particularly heavy season that she had just come through. And she said, I planned and I paced myself that week. I don't feel completely depleted or exhausted at the end of the week. But somehow there was this nagging feeling that it still wasn't quite enough. Like if you hadn't felt that way, that mean you didn't work. Which of course isn't true. All the things happened that needed to get done that week and it even went well. But somehow in her mind, a little bit in her mind was still saying, wait, that's not how it should be. But here, friends, we're trying to build something better here. And I'd like you to join me in doing a little practice today. This is your mini coaching session for episode 8. So take step 1, and this is often how I start with you. You probably get used to this. Take a breath and thank your body. Before we do anything else, I want you to pause and just notice what you're feeling right now. Maybe there's some anxiety humming. Maybe it's your to-do list is pulling at you. Mine does that all the time. Maybe that voice in your head is already telling you that, hey, this breath stuff is nice, but you don't have time for this. Take a breath anyway. And then thank yourself for those reactions. I know that's hard because these are things in your mind or your body you don't want, but that driven, anxious, never enough voice it developed for a reason. It kept you safe. It helped you survive. And it got you through some really hard seasons. It served you. So take a breath, thank it. And then say to yourself, and out loud if you're in a place where you can do it, these habits have served me. And now I'm going to try a new way. So, step 2, and this is once you're a little calmer, brainstorm about your values. I'll drop a little graphic here in with some list of some words of potential values. There's certainly not all of them, but grab a piece of paper or something to write or a note on your phone. And what are the values? Just don't think too hard about it. Notice the ones that jump out to you first. And then when that feels complete, take a look at that list and narrow that down to 2 or 3. It can even just be one value. Now, these values can change. These aren't set in stone, so don't worry, don't judge, just name it. And then finally, for each of those values, or maybe this is when you just want to pick one, list a few ways you could actually live it. Name small, real, doable things, not a total life overhaul. That's not what we're doing here. Just 1 or 2 places in your work, in your rest, in your daily life where that value can lead you instead of that toxic instead of the toxic boss voice. So what would it look like if you let that value show up today, this week, in one decision you're currently wrestling with? That's it. And now I know there's no perfect answers, and I am giving you some steps in a process, but I'm not giving you all the answers here. I'm simply making space. That's what I do as a coach. I make space for you to find your own answers. And sometimes I give you a little advice too. But what I really hope is that you find your way to finding the maybe messy, sometimes imperfect answers to those big questions, and that you find exactly what you need. So I would love to hear more about this process for you because this is process that I want to work on, this connecting these abstract values to real life actions. This is a little bit of a process I want to experiment with and work with. And so if you would email me and let me know how it goes at defythetrend@gmail.com, or, and I'll drop this in here as well, leave me a voice message on SpeakPipe. That's really simple voice recording. It'll be like talking into a voicemail. You don't have to be polished, just do something short, messy, imperfection, all of that is totally welcome. And again, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for trusting me and trusting that rest and the values that we espouse underneath it are worth fighting for. You are worthy of rest.